Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of July 2021, and wow, it finally felt normal. July 2021 was the first time I got to go to a convention in like a year and a half. The last one I went to was Mo Game Con Jr. back in like February of 2020. And now, VGS, Video Game Summit, in my hometown here in Chicago. I was a guest there. So I got to go there. It was, it was like, I hadn't been to this one before, but everybody was telling me that in previous years it had been much smaller, but this year they opened it up, and it was a much bigger dealer room, and so it wasn't like a giant convention or anything, but it was a cool little game swap, and it just felt normal. And that actually meant that there was an opportunity to get a bunch of cool video games for discounted prices, which is always the best way to go. So I picked up some stuff, and some stuff was presented to me, and some of it being better than others, but you'll see we got a bunch of weird stuff here. But before we get to that, let's get some of the stuff out of the way that had nothing to do with any of that. First and foremost, I got something that I was not expecting at all. It just kind of showed up in the mail, and I think a bunch of people just randomly got this. This is from Limited Run Games. This is a collectible coin set that they released in PS Vita cases. They just randomly mailed to people for the 5th anniversary of Limited Run Games. I believe in order to get this, you had to have bought Breach and Clear when it first came out, and you had to have bought at least one game from them every year in all 5 years. At least I think that's how it worked. Anyway, all I know is this just randomly showed up, and so thank you to the guys at Limited Run Games, because that's really cool. I don't really intend to open this, because there's no real reason to, but very neat. It'll make a cool little display piece. The other thing I got here, which had nothing to do with the convention either, was something. This is a remnant of my Gamers Club Unlocked days from Best Buy, which I'm not going to explain, except I'll give a very brief explanation, so I'm contradicting myself. Back in the day, you could get 20% off the retail price of any game at Best Buy if you signed up for a thing called Gamers Club Unlocked. There you go. That's the elevator pitch version. Anyway, so when that was finally going away, I pre-ordered a bunch of stuff, and this was one of the things. This is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. So yeah, I got 20% off of this, which is really very cool. This is a game that I've always kind of wanted to play, but because it was on the Wii, I was like, ugh, like just no, thank you. I love that. I'm not a huge fan of re-releasing stuff over and over again. I know Nintendo's very famous for that, but this is one of those cases where I'm just like, thank you. They basically, because I really do not like the Nintendo Wii, they liberated a game that was like, it's one of the, like, whenever you hear people defend the Wii, it's like, but it's got, Mario Galaxy, and it's got Skyward Sword, and it's got, like, Mario Kart, it's got, like, 3 games people like. I just like that they've liberated some of them. Mario Galaxy is no longer in bondage and is enslaved onto the Wii forever, and now Skyward Sword HD has been freed and improved upon, no less. Where the best part is, motion controls are optional. Motion controls, sure, you can do it. Button-only controls. We changed the game so it doesn't suck. No, the game doesn't suck, but like, I just hate motion controls. I hate them so much. So the idea that I can now enjoy this game with a real controller and in a better experience, no less, is just wonderful. So happy about that. So thank you to Nintendo for making this, and thank you to Best Buy for giving me 20% off, even though you obviously didn't want that to happen because you discontinued the program. But that's it for like stuff I got outside of the convention, except for one little package, which I'll open up towards the end here. The rest of this stuff I picked up at VGS. Some of this stuff was just given to me, and some of it varies, and you'll get it. This is cool. This is the guys from Megavisions, which is a magazine, like a Sega publication. It's not an officially licensed thing, but these guys do high quality work. They have an office here in Chicago, and they sent out some of their guys to come enjoy the convention, and they just gave me a copy of their latest issue. This is issue number 8. This is the Panzer Dragoon Saga special, so it's got a whole bunch of details all about Panzer Dragoon Saga, but also just a bunch of other various things, Sega IPs and franchises and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's not something that comes out super frequently, so it was very neat of them to just, not only make this and be dedicated to it, but like just to hook me up with a copy. They really didn't have to do that. But it says Summer Issue 2019, and I'm guessing the pandemic probably screwed up their release date. I'm not super familiar with that in particular, but yeah, there you go. Very cool. Megavisions magazine. Thank you to the guys over there. Now, The next one up is weird. And the guys who gave it to me wouldn't mind me saying it was weird. So, like I said, I was a guest at this convention, so you have people who came out to see me. You also have people who were like, oh my god, it's that guy. You know, what's the fat guy doing here? You know, you get a lot of just varies, right? But, you know, I'm typically cool with people. I like to talk to people, hang out. It's, you know, it's exciting. We get to do stuff again. It's great. So there was these dudes, this one guy, Andrew in particular, and, you know, he actually bought one of my hats, and I'll show you real quick. I have a spreadshirt now where you can buy stuff like this. This is the first time I actually got to see any of the merch in person. So he bought the hat, I signed it for him and all that stuff. Very cool. But when I went back over to his table, him and his buddies were like, we're going to hook you up with something. And it was totally a gag gift, but they hooked me up and they were like, yeah, it's a super rare, super exclusive Nintendo DS game we held on just for you. Baby Pals. Okay, let's read the description of Baby Pals. Someone special, someone dear, someone new to love is here. Oh, I already hate this. Bring home hours of baby fun with Baby Pals. The game that lets you do all of the fun things real parents do, like feeding, bathing, teaching, and playing with your baby. If you're a really good parent, your little one will even love you back. Coochie coochie cool. I can't. It's a Baby Pal. I appreciate, like, the obvious gag gift, but yeah, come on. Thank you for Baby Pals. But there was stuff I bought there, certainly. So one of the big pluses, if you've never been to a swap meet type of thing like that, is that, you know, people want to sell stuff, and typically there's a lot of deals to be had, and, you know, you can negotiate and haggle and so on and so forth. And so I picked up some cool stuff that I hadn't seen in a while. I picked up some PS2 stuff, some GameCube stuff, and as you can tell by the color there, a lot of Xbox, OG Xbox stuff. Now, I've said in the past, with the PlayStation 2, I don't have any particular collecting goals. It's just kind of like stuff that interests me. And the reason for that is the PlayStation 2 library is just way too big to feasibly get like a full set, or even a set of games that only came out on PS2. Like, it's just insurmountable. But that said, I still like to pick up oddball stuff for it every once in a while. So these are the two that I got. Portal Runner, which I think was a very early PS2 game. Like, it says 2001 on it. Actually, the reason it caught my attention was just because 3DO made it. People forget that 3DO wasn't just the name of the console that got released. It was a third-party developer for a while, and eventually went under. But yeah, they mostly were known for making Army Men games, but they did venture out and do some other stuff, and this would be one of those things. I don't think the game itself was anything special, but it's just kind of like, oh, 3DO, why not? And the other one I got, which was one I always kind of had some level of interest in as a kid, but I never picked up, and I don't remember why I wanted it, I just remember that I did at some point, is this game called Mad Maestro. I'm not going to lie, I legitimately don't even remember why I wanted this, but it just, when I saw it, it just kind of triggered something in there. I was like, I have this memory of wanting to get this, and there it was, cheap, so I was like, alright, let's pull the trigger. But that's it, that's what I picked up for the PS2. Nothing like super special or crazy there. For the GameCube, same type of thing. With the GameCube, I do have a goal. I'm not trying to get a full set of GameCube stuff, but I am trying to get every GameCube game that didn't come out on the original Xbox, which is a much more reasonable goal, because it basically eliminates like half of the library. So that said, what I got was a game called Drone Racers. This is actually a Lego game. There was a phase there where Lego was trying to appeal not just to kids, but to, like, I'd say, like, your almost college-age nerds who are trying to, like, do stuff with engineering, and they use Legos as parts. And this was supposed to, like, they had, like, what you'd call adult Legos. In, like, oh, this is not the baby Legos, but this is stuff that, like, requires, like, actual knowledge, and you put, like, engines in it. Like, this was a thing. I remember you make, like, RC cars out of this stuff. And obviously they made a video game out of that at some point. This is before Lego games really kind of blew up with, like, Lego Star Wars, where they are now what they are. There was this weird phase where Lego games were just, hey, who the hell knows? And this is one of those. It's just a racing game with, like, that brand of Lego and its, like, quote-unquote extreme phase. But there you go, Drone Racers. I don't know if the game itself was actually decent as a racing game, but, you know, cool. And I just realized it's made by EA. It's kind of weird because EA's name isn't really blasted on it. This is before EA did that, too. There's this, like, very subtle EA at the bottom. Or Electronic Arts. The other one I also got, what happens to be yet another racing game. I don't remember this one being special, and I know this company never really produced much of anything good. It's from BAM Entertainment. We got Driven. Just another random racing game. But I didn't even know, I hadn't read this description. Check this out. Inspired by Sylvester Stallone's hit movie Driven, race on 8 stunning tracks, including California Angels, Bay and Paris Champs Elias. I can't read that French. I suck at French. But yeah, featuring vocal talents from Sylvester Stallone. Didn't know that. But anyway, yes, I didn't know this was based on a movie. My bad. But either way, racing game. But yeah, so cool to get those out of the way. Then I got a whole bunch of Xbox stuff. My goal with Xbox is very, very specific. I want a full set. I want every single individual release. It doesn't have to be like all the collector's editions or like platinum hits, but just like at least one copy of every game that came out. Ideally North American stuff first, and then all the PAL exclusives and all the Asian exclusives. Ironically, I finished the Asian exclusives. They're all done. And I say Asian because like there's 48 were from Japan, 1 was from South Korea, and 1 was from like Taiwan and Singapore. But I have all those. European stuff, I'm missing a couple. And then North American stuff, not even close. But I did manage to chip away at a bunch of it here. So if I'm honest with you, nothing super crazy in here. Just stuff I needed that I didn't have. Championship Bowling. Conflict Vietnam, Ford Racing 3, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2005. I hate sports games, especially golf, man. Tiger Woods PGA, whatever, 2004. This is probably the best one, and I don't like anime, so it means nothing to me. Dragon Ball Z Sagas, Knockout Kings 2002. Pro Stroke Golf World Tour 2007. This one, I don't remember ever seeing this. Like when you collect for a console, you end up seeing a lot of games you don't own, but you get really like familiar with the library. This one, I don't think I've ever seen it in my life. That doesn't mean it's like rare or valuable or anything. I'm sure it's worthless. It's golf. I didn't exactly pay anything for it, you know. But I just don't remember seeing it. It's kind of surprising at this point to still be surprised by something in the library. Like, wow, I didn't even know that was a thing. But, yeah, there you go. Secret Weapons over Normandy. I believe I played I think there's an Xbox 360 version of this, and I think I beat that all the way through. And this is like that phase where they were like kind of releasing them on, still the original Xbox. I think. Or I might be thinking of... No, I think I'm Flying Angels by Ubisoft. Different game. Although I think... Did I ever play this? I don't know. There was a phase where I was really into a lot of these like World War II plane shooters, so I might have played this and rented it at like a Blockbuster at some point because it's got memories, but LucasArts too, no less. So this probably actually, in all seriousness, probably the best game in here. And then the last one, which I had to get for the set, but I didn't want to get, was The Hobbit. I know that this is sacrilege, and I'll just leave it at this. I don't really like Lord of the Rings, and saying I don't really like it would be an understatement. I really don't like it, but let's not go into that. Anyway, I needed to get it just to complete the set, but I don't even want to look at it. Let's look at the Secret Weapons over Normandy. That's much more interesting. Anyway, so yes, good to get a lot of that stuff out of the way. But one of my cooler pickups was when I first got there and I was looking around, just kind of perusing, checking out the stuff. There was this one dude who had like a giant bucket of Atari Jaguar games. Like, you do not see that very often. And on top of that, all of his were boxed. And I asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, there was some guy like getting rid of his whole collection. So this is all just in there. I'm not really a Jaguar guy. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So he had prices on him, but he was like, I'm very willing to negotiate. And his prices weren't even unreasonable, but he basically like cut half of that off because I got 3 at once. So it's not important what I paid, but it was a lot less than it probably should have been. The first one up is a game called Skyjammer. This game actually is not an official release. This was done by Songbird Studios, which, funny enough, or Songbird Productions, who I've actually done a video on their stuff. There's a guy who does independent Jaguar, Lynx, and even, oddly enough, the new one he's done a release of, like Iron Soldier 3 did the reprint. I've done a video on some of his stuff, but this one no longer was in stock. He didn't have this anymore. So I was really surprised to see it mixed in there. But yeah, the guy gave me a good deal on it, so I was happy to get that. The other 2 that I got were original retail games that I didn't own. Next one up was Troy Aikman Football. Cool thing about this one is it's actually factory sealed. Now, here's the thing. I think hand-egg is like one of the worst sports, if not the worst sport ever created. So, like, I hate it. I really do. I only got this just to, you know, add it to the Jaguar set, you know, because it's a game I didn't have. But, man, like, I'm never going to play this. Like, I know that straight up. But the thing is with sealed games, you go, I don't like sealed games in general because I feel like you're just buying a photograph, like, because I don't want to open a sealed game that's a retro title. But if I have to get a sealed game, like, I kind of want to break the seal and actually, like, feel like I'm adding it to the collection. In this case, though, I'll keep it sealed because I know I'll never play this, like, ever. Like, I can't even pretend that I'll play this. So, you know, cool. It's got a good home here. But, you know, this is no Mario 64 that'll sell for $1.5 million. It's Troy Aikman football that I'll be lucky to recoup the money I spent on it. But, yeah, no, I got a good deal on it, but still, it's whatever. But, yeah, Troy Aikman football, whatever. And the last one I got, and this was probably the best one as far as, like, rarity's sake, but not necessarily my favorite game. This is Flashback, The Quest for Identity. Now, this game I've actually done an entire video on, but I did it for the Dreamcast version because my boy Josh Prod actually bought the rights to this game. Like, he straight up owns this game. The IP, it's his. And once he owned it, he decided to release it on a whole bunch of new consoles, including the Dreamcast. So this is the original version, like, before he owned the rights to it. But the Jaguar version of this is not exactly a common release. So I was a little surprised to see it at all, but he was, like I said, very willing to give me a deal on it. So it was just exciting to pick up Jaguar stuff. Like, I don't get to do that often because it's not a very big library, and I have a big chunk of it. So very cool to get not only one, but like 3. You know, it's very cool, and one sealed, no less. So awesome. We're not quite done with stuff from the convention. We're going to take a quick break from that for a tiny little package here. This was sent to me by a guy in my Discord who goes by the name Hoss Bags. I don't know if you want me to use your real name, dude. You never said, so I'm not going to do it. Just why. But if you want to come into the Discord and hang out, by the way, we have over 1,000 members now, which is pretty cool. And it's a verified Discord, so that makes it important or something. No, not really, but come on in. There's a link in the description. But yes, Hossbags contacted me, and he basically said, like, hey, man, I have this, like, cool little promo item, and I think you might like it, so, you know, I'm going to send it to you. And I was like, yeah, you don't have to do that. And he's like, dude, I'm just going to trash it if you don't want it. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll take it. Thank you. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I probably should have got, like, you know, scissors or something. I'll just rip it open. Okay, inside, it's just a tiny little thing. Yep, just this one. I think you included a note. Looks like, oh, okay, let's see here. I will read this note, and it looks like he is including his name, so I guess it's fine for me to do that. Adam, I received this about a month before the GameCube came out at an event in Philadelphia. Nintendo was giving away promos, and I got this. Maybe rare, have no idea, hope it will enjoy its new home. Yes, it will. Thanks for all your videos, and keep dreaming. Jules. Alright, so it's a guy named Jules, sorry. But anyway, so he sent me this, and it's basically this little puzzle that is for the GameCube, that you basically take these little pieces, just big puzzle pieces, kind of like Banjo-Kazooie puzzle pieces, oddly enough, because Nintendo had sold the franchise right around then. But basically you can build this thing, and I'll do that later, but the funny thing about it, though, is not only does it say GameCube on it, there is a side that says play it on Panasonic. What makes that special is this might be the best piece of evidence ever that the Panasonic GameCube was at some point going to come to North America, but then never did. Or I'm reaching way too much into this, and this event by, you know, in Philadelphia or whatever, had Panasonic TVs set up. I don't know, but to me, I just thought that was neat. So once I assemble it, like, I'm going to stick it near the Panasonic GameCube because I think they'll look good together for that exact reason. But that's very cool. Thank you very much, Jules, for hooking me up with this. Are you I can't even read this word. Cubistically correct. I'm just reading the right. Enter to win Panasonic.com/cube. I don't know, man. That might be some serious, you know... Yeah, this is a weird little promo item, but that's very cool. So thank you very much, Jules, for this, and I'll show it to you guys assembled at the end of the video. But next up, we got a box. Okay? Now this box was handed to me at the convention. This came from a guy named Nicholas. Now I'm just going to read his note, because he included a note. Very nice guy. chatted with him for a few minutes, and he was very insistent that I take this, even though I tried not to. I was like, no, you don't have to give me that. He's like, dude, this has been in I think it was his parents' house or grandparents' house for 45 years. And he's like, just take it. I was like, okay. So here's his note. He says, hey, Adam, it was so cool to meet you, which I'm glad I hope that lived up, because he wrote this before he met me. So, dude, Nicholas, I hope you enjoyed it. He said, it was so cool to meet you. I discovered you 7 years ago, and since then I have enjoyed most of the content that you put out, except for The Boner. The Boner is a short film on my channel that is hilarious, but everybody avoids it because of the name, because, oh man, what if I see a penis? You won't, trust me, it's fine. That's the whole joke. Anyway, he says, I don't know how someone can talk about retro video games for all that time and make it interesting, but you managed to figure it out. Keep it up and great work, Nicholas. Well, Nicholas, thank you very much for the nice letter. Thank you very much for hanging out with me over there. And thank you very much for this. Let's show everybody what you hooked me up with. Here's your first clue. Something that has the devil's pitchforks. Something, well, 45 years, probably also another clue. It is a very old video game console. This is a Wonder Wizard television sports game made in USA. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not super familiar on this, but here's what I do know. This is a first-gen console back when every single game was Pong. This was a kind of a split off of the Magnavox Odyssey line, and so it has 3 different types of Pong built into it. One considered handball, one considered tennis, one considered hockey, and then you can basically change the difficulty settings and all that sort of stuff. You might be aware of the controllers. These are the controllers. You'd have to have 2 people sit at the machine. I'm calling it the machine because I'm 98 years old. You'd have to sit at the machine and, one person on the left, one person on the right, and then you just control the paddles. Everybody made Pong clones back then. So if I ever do, and I probably will, a first-gen recap on, like the history of all that stuff, it's like one video will be like the Magnavox Odyssey, because it's like the only real console in that whole thing, and like every other Pong clone I own would be in the other video, because that's really all you can do, because essentially it's just the same game over and over and over and over again on different pieces of hardware. That said, though, thank you very much, Nicholas, for hooking me up with this. You really didn't have to do that. This is also another weird era where there is a power supply for this, though I don't think he had it, unless that's what this is. But this thing actually takes batteries to operate. Unfortunately, I do not own the kind of television necessary to actually get this to run anymore, but I'll see if I can come up with something. There are like devil's pitchforks to RF adapters, as ridiculous as and then from RF to composite, and hypothetically, we do this ridiculous daisy chain to play the most extreme game of Pong ever. But it is possible. It is possible. And so you might be thinking that's the end of it here. I don't see anything else at the end of the table. Oh, but there might be one more thing. There just might be one more crazy awesome thing that I could not believe existed. And maybe, just maybe, it's down there, hidden away. Oh, what is it? What is it? It is a vinyl record. Oh, who cares? I'm not here for that. I'm here for video games. I'm going to unsub. Oh, you're going to like this. Probably. This is a vinyl record for Goldeneye. The movie? I don't care about that. No! Vinyl record for Goldeneye 64. This is every piece of music on that game in a 2-disc vinyl set. What? I couldn't believe this existed. As I was getting ready, like the con was wrapping up, like everybody's doing that shutdown phase, whatever, and this one dude was like going down with the ship. He wasn't putting his stuff away, even though it was like 5 minutes from closing or whatever. And I just noticed, because now he had like everybody's attention, because he was like the only booth left, and there was this box at the bottom that had records in it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I like video game vinyl records. I just do. And so I'm looking through it, and this was in it. I was stunned. Because I was like, and then he straight up says, he's like, oh, just be careful. He's like, some of those aren't like legit. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I'm like looking through, and he's got some other ones like Ninja Turtles Hyperstone Heist for the Sega Genesis on vinyl. I was like, there's no, and it's just like clearly some guy made it. And I was like, oh, if this isn't like legit, I don't really care. But then I did a quick look at it, because I'm like, this looks really nice, like to be a fake. That's really crazy. And it comes from 2D Ninja Records. I'm like, what kind of fake puts a company name on it? So I Googled it. 2D Ninja Records actually officially did a GoldenEye 64 vinyl record, and this is it. It is a very uncommon record, and I paid nowhere near what it costs. Like, this guy kind of had a flat rate on a lot of these, and so I was stoked. Like, I really didn't pay much for this. And so, okay. 2-disc set, And inside, in addition to having like this cool artwork with this great description on the back and, you know, shots and all that, you've got the record. It also comes with like a little postcard looking thing that's got Bond on it. And then this really cool like guide that has like the whole history of the game, all the compositions of like, you know, all the song details. Like here's every song listed there. It has everything. Like it even has like the bullet sound effects and stuff. And you know, just the like this entire history of how that game got made. Really cool. And you know, just a bunch of the original adverts and photos of different versions, Japanese version, N60, you know, NTSC version, all sorts of cool stuff. PAL version, various artwork that promoted at the time, and then again, just, you know, more information about the release itself. And I was like, oh, that's so great. I listened to it. It was fantastic. The first disc is a black disc, and the second disc is like a clear, like transparent see-through disc. And even then, I thought that was it. But I can't really show you this too well. But if you look inside, like this thing, it actually has, like, if you ever played multiplayer and you saw like all the different characters you could play as, it has the entire like multiplayer list of characters, and you see all their original photos and stuff. And then, like, that's Pierce Brosnan. They didn't put like generic Bond. Like, I don't know how this got made. I don't know how. I never heard about this because GoldenEye 64 famously is an impossible thing to license. I do not know how this exists, but thank you 2D Ninja Records for making this happen, because this is ridiculous. I don't even know when this came out. This came out this year. This came, according to this, 2021. So, hey man, look into it. If you like GoldenEye 64, somehow this exists, get it. Like, this is fantastic. So, there you go. Anyway, that'll do it for me. Thank you again to Nicholas. Thank you to Jules. Thank you to Andrew and his crew. Thank you to Limited Run Games. Thank you to everybody who came out to hang out at VGS. I'll be doing more conventions soon. We'll talk about that another time, but I think I'm going to go to Missouri Game Con in St. Louis in September, and I know I'll be back in another one, the Pinball Expo or something like that, in October or November in Chicago. You never know. There's other stuff that's coming up. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Please, if you could like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you guys got. You guys get any cool stuff? You go to any conventions yet? You excited about being able to do that? Do you like GoldenEye 64? Has anybody ever heard of this thing before? Tell me what you think. Also, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, all that sort of stuff, Patreon, what have you. I appreciate it. All that stuff's in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.